Hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview, where today we have an amazing individual. He's a chef. He was actually one of the first chefs on Bar Rescue. He has several cookbooks out. I found out about him through a mutual friend of ours whose podcast he was on, called the Be Better podcast. He is
Chef Brian Duffy.
Thanks for coming on, Brian.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on, Caden. Yeah, I love being on your buddy's podcast, the Be Better. That was a lot of fun. We talked for a while.
Yeah, it definitely sounds fun. I think a lot of people might recognize you. Bar Rescue has been viewed by hundreds upon thousands of people. But for those that may not know you, do you mind starting this off by telling us your story in your own words?
Sure, absolutely. So I am a chef. I graduated culinary school in 1995. And I've pretty much traveled the world over that entire time frame. I've opened over 116 restaurants. I am a restaurateur. I am also a partner in a spice company out of Germany called Wurstpot. I am also a partner in a company called Yum Crunch, which is a multimedia marketing company that focuses strictly on food content. And then I'm also the part owner of a cookie company called Molly Bees, which you can buy in Target and Walmart and everything else. We just had our first Target launch a couple weeks ago. I've done TV for the last 20 years, everything from Food Network, all across the gamut, everything from Food Network, DIY HG, Fine Living to NBC, ABC, CBS. I've done it all.
That's definitely impressive, and I'll have to try some of those cookies. My next question for you is, have you had any experiences interacting with the autism community that you want to talk about?
I mean, 100%. I deal with the autism community pretty much on a daily basis. Everything from some employees that work in restaurants where I'm involved in, all the way down to friends that have children who are on the spectrum or who have different abilities. One of my best friends has twin autistic boys that are 13 years old now. And I've watched them grow and progress over the last 13 years. They live in Florida. And one of the major things that I've seen down there is a group called Family Initiative. And Family Initiative is basically a liaison between the family and the school system or the government or anything else. And they provide a tremendous amount of help to any of the families that are within the autism community. And for me, I try to do as much money as I can to raise awareness and raise money. So some of these groups can really make a bigger impact on the lives of people that are in the autism community.
That's amazing. And that's honestly what I love about doing these interviews. You never know who's going to be involved with the autism community in some way. So I'm glad you're making an effort to raise that awareness. My next question for you is, as a chef, what are your tips for handling food aversions in autistic individuals?
I think the big thing is just one, we need to be aware of what the different situations are. So it helps a lot if there are, when families come in, if they're very open and honest right up front with a server. I have actually seen people hand me a laminated 3x5 card that says, my child is autistic. They cannot have or do not like these types of things, and to make sure that the kitchen is aware of those things, the same as we would in reality with anybody who has a food allergy or something to that effect. So it's really just about raising awareness that people who are on the neurodivergent scale or who have different abilities, they too have things that they like or don't like, whether it be textural, whether it be flavor profiles or stuff like that. So when it comes down to it, I just say I treat it like anybody else who would have a food allergy or something like that.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. Sir, I absolutely agree. Food aversions should be treated the same way as food allergies or dietary preferences.
Absolutely.
A bit of a story for you. What's weird about me is I'm sensory seeking when it comes to food. I like having extremely spicy items. Like I got a smorgasbord of spicy items in that bucket back there. Though once it's gallons, Carolina Reapers, ghost peppers, palm hot sauce. And I've eaten a ton of different weird animal organs and animal meats and that kind of thing. But
wow,
what's weird about me is I have an aversion to peanut butter and any nut product. Not
Okay.
necessarily an allergy. I just strongly despise them. I don't.
Is that something that you have a physical reaction to, or is it something you just don't like?
Sometimes when I try to taste, did I have some gagging or where you throw up but you really don't throw. Ooh,
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
yeah,
Okay, so definitely. So if I ever meet you, I'll make sure we don't do anything with nuts or peanuts.
all right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I, I really like that answer. My next question for you is: what's your advice to anyone, neurodivergent or not, that wants to make it in the world of culinary arts?
I mean, I've seen every level of people come in and out of restaurants, in and out of kitchens, um, whether they have, whether they have autism or whether they don't. The key thing for everybody is really to understand the people that you're working with. So rather than you adapting to me, I kind of have to adapt to you. You're my employee in that situation. So I want to make sure that you enjoy working there. I want to make sure that we're able to work with what you need to get done to get your stuff done that I require of you on a daily basis. So for me, honestly, I think the biggest thing when it comes to that is if you do have anybody who's either on the spectrum or in neurodivergent world, is really about communication, talking, finding out what it is that works best for them to make sure that what works best for you can work best with me. And then that way we can work together to get to the ultimate result, which is a great plate of food.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very great way to put it. Not just with the culinary arts, but with anything really. You have to learn to adapt to the environment you're working in.
Yeah.
And I can definitely relate to that. My last question for you is: what does the future hold for you? Do you have anything that you want to promote?
Well, November 1st, I will be in Fort Myers, Florida for Casino Night, which is to raise money for Family Initiative, which is a charity that I work with all the time. Like I said, my best friend has twin autistic boys. So for me, I've been able to see the very direct reward that a group like Family Initiative has and the impact that it has directly on a family. Okay, they just were granted $5 million by Governor DeSantis. They actually purchased a property. So now my buddy's boys are able to go to a school as opposed to being in the mainstream high school. They now have a school where they can go and they can grow and flourish and do everything that they need to do. This is such an amazing group out of Florida that they actually have sensory trucks that are able to show up. They have sensory trailers. So during hurricanes and flooding and weird situations that happen or natural disasters, you as a parent can go to one of these trucks or trailers and be able to they allow your child to go in, sit down, find a comfortable space, be able to chill out. They're really, really neat things. But one of the things that they do is raise awareness to the fact that, at this point right now, we're at 1 in 54 boys are born with autism, which is a little bit different than 1 in over 130 girls are born with autism, that it is much more directed towards boys, but we're seeing a growth change that, what we saw 10 years ago was nothing like what we're seeing now, which is people who have just an incredible mind that works unlike anything I've ever seen. I love the creativity. I love the processing. I love the thinking aspect of what's going on. So for me, I try to get involved in as many autism charities as I can, or charities that involve people with with different abilities.
Yeah, that's amazing. Will we start to look out for the Instagram post about how that event went? Anyways, that's going to do it for this interview, guys. Thank you so much to Brian for coming on and sharing his story. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. And be on the lookout for our November issue that comes out in a month. This interview will be released in October, so by then it will be a month before the next issue comes out. And stay tuned for the audio file to be posted on our Spotify. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.